Natasha, there's so many ways that we can go with this conversation. I think you have done so many incredible things on and off the court, but just most recently, getting back from Jordan, playing as a naturalized player over there. Can you talk about that experience and what it's like now to be back after that?
It was a truly, truly amazing experience. I was blessed to be given the opportunity to go play for Jordan's national team. And I didn't really go in with any expectations. It was my first time in the Middle East. I'm always very open-minded when I go overseas to play. I truly enjoy going into different cultures and experiencing different cultures, different people. And so went in with just an open mind, and I truly fell in love with Jordan, fell in love with the amazing women that I was surrounded by. And it's funny, my wife is always like, oh, you always struggle overseas. And I was genuinely happy for the 4 weeks that I was there. And saying goodbye was really hard for me, which is like, it's not a normal thing for me. I'm always usually like, see ya, like I'm going home to my family. But got in late last night. It just feels good to be home. It feels good to be back home with my wife and our dogs and in my own bed. But I truly just enjoyed that experience over there in Jordan.
What was the most surprising thing for you to play with the new teammates and just in that format too?
Yeah, I think the most surprising thing is just how natural it felt. How I came in and it immediately felt like family. I've never had that experience overseas before, so that was surprising to me. Just to come in and be acclimated right away, for them to play the same style I play. And then again, just the family atmosphere that was surrounded by it. My coach, he actually played at St. Joe's where I went to college. So there was just a lot of family ties to begin with, but then going there and again, the amazing women that I was surrounded by, they truly are so special. And it's the Jordanian nature is to take care of others. And I thought that was a really beautiful thing, especially with the climate of our country right now. It was really just an amazing experience to go over there and feel that.
Bringing it back to the States here, you've had quite a career so far in the WNBA. When was it though, for, looking back, when was it that you decided, this is my goal, is to play professionally? When did that love of the sport kind of go from a passion to a pursuit of a professional athlete?
It's wild because you always dream of it as a kid. I was blessed to be able to watch the WNBA growing up. A lot of the older generation always talks about how they never really had that role model to look up to. I had those. I had Sue Bird and Lindsay Whalen and Tamika Catchings. I had all of those people that I looked up to. So from an early age, it was always a dream. But I think when it became like a reality and a goal for me was when I got to high school. I played a bunch of different sports up until that point. I was a really hyper kid, so my parents just threw me in whatever they could to tire me out. But when I got to high school, I understood that basketball was my ticket. It was my ticket to a free education. It was a ticket to be able to provide for my family, to be able to travel the world, create really cool relationships and long-lasting friendships. And I've been really, really, truly blessed in my career. But my story is an underdog. I love being an underdog. It's kind of made me who I am as not only a player, but a person. So it wasn't easy, but I'm extremely blessed to be one of 144 in the WNBA.
And so in those moments, as the underdog, I think everyone loves the underdog, right? They're always rooting for you.
It's the underdog story, right?
Yeah, exactly. But there's moments in that, right? Like you can be so committed to it. And then there's moments of doubt, and there's moments of, this is really hard. Is this worth it? How did you push through those hurdles to get to where you are?
Yeah, those hurdles come a lot, especially when you are an underdog. There's a lot of adversity thrown your way, and something that's always kept me grounded has been know your why. Know why you're doing what you're doing and who you're doing it for. Because when you know those things, adversity along the way is going to come. But when you know those things, it can't knock you off your track and knock you off your journey and your goal and your dream. And so, know your why has always been huge for me. Just kind of regrounding me, putting me 10 toes down and being where my feet are. And just understanding that adversity is going to come along the way. But I was built for that adversity. I was built to get through that adversity, and having the strong foundation that I have in my family and the support that they've given me throughout the years has really made all the difference in my career and my life.
Has your why changed throughout time at all, or has it stayed pretty consistent?
It's stayed pretty consistent. My why has always been my family. You know, when things get tough, when life happens, when chaos is going on, family is your foundation. It's your stability. And so everything that I do for my family. I do it to make them proud. I do it to represent them. And so when you have that focus and when you have that, I'm very blessed to have that stability back at home. That keeps me grounded, and doesn't matter, you know, how successful I am, I'll come home and they'll be like, Tosh, you're ugly. I'm like, woo, yes, you guys keep me grounded here.
You need that. You need that to keep going.
You absolutely do. But, you know, people always ask about being a professional athlete and everything. And I'm just a kid from Delaware County, Pennsylvania, small town kid, went to a mid-major, and so I'm very blessed for the family that I do have for just raising me the right way too.
Your skill on the court, I think, is undeniable, right? Like no one's going to argue how good you are. And I think that speaks for itself. But I think another thing that you've been so passionate about, which is, I think, helps your success, right, is you're a champion on the court and a champion in your community. You've really adopted DC to be your second home. Why is that such an important thing to you? Obviously, with your why being your family, we can see how important people and community are to you. But you were intentional, and you've kind of gone above and beyond to make that a mission for you. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I feel God blessed me in so many ways. And one of his greatest blessings is through this game of basketball. It's provided me so much. But the one thing that has provided me most is a platform and the ability to be a voice for the voiceless, to be a voice for marginalized communities and communities that need light shed on them. And for me, if all I ever did was bring a championship to DC and win a bunch of personal accolades, then I failed. I failed my community. I failed a lot of people that look like me. I failed a lot of people that represent the same marginalized groups that I do, in not being that voice for the voiceless. And I'm very proud to be an athlete. I think in the last 3 years, we've seen athletes really step up and utilize their platforms in whatever way they can to bring attention and shed light on issues that are plaguing those communities. And it's a responsibility. Whether we like it or not, we inherit a responsibility to be that voice and to make sure that we are not only just playing in the communities that we represent, but also being about progressing those communities. So it's truly been a blessing, but I'm much more than an athlete. And when I go home at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many championships I win. It doesn't matter that I play for the Washington Mystics and I've been there for 8 years. When I take that jersey off, I'm a Black bisexual woman in America. And so I just want to make sure that I'm doing what I can so that the next generation, my kids, won't have to fight these same fights in years to come.
And I think you have been such an incredible role model for the next generation to look up to use your platform to be successful in sport. And, you know, just recently there was a mural painted at one of the, at a school in DC, right? And,
yes.
and what was that to see the athletes that are going to get to see that every day, to look at you as someone who's changing the game for better?
It was really crazy for me. I cried like a baby. But when this can be a thankless job, and I don't do it for anything other than the genuineness of my heart and wanted to help my community. But sometimes when you're in this fight, you question yourself, am I doing everything I can? Am I doing the right things? Am I having the impact that I want to have on my community? And so when that mural came about, those are things you dream of, to have that amount of impact on your community that a mural is done of you. And so I hope that New Hope, and I hope all those young girls and young women look at that and dream their wildest dreams and understand that whatever they want in life, it's obtainable. It doesn't matter where you come from, what your background is, what color, race, religion. You know, if you work hard enough, God will always provide for you. And so I hope that I can continue to be that role model. I hope I can continue to be that kind of spark of their dreams. But that was truly, truly like wild for me.
I loved seeing your reaction, and I love seeing the girls' reactions to it, of just, representation matters. And I think seeing someone who has overcome what they have and what they're doing, and to say like, wow, I can do that.
Absolutely.
And
it doesn't just have to be sports. Obviously I'm a basketball player, but I want every kid to know you don't only have to play sports. You can, whatever your passion is, whether it is sports or music, or you want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, whatever it may be. If you put 2 feet in, if you're a good person, if you do things the right way, again, God will always provide for you.
I think that's so incredible. And you also, I know we're kind of circling back here to the 2020 season, where you chose to sit out, and for a reason, and you were vocal about that. Can you talk about that decision, and what went into it, and kind of what your initial conversations with your team were about that?
Yeah, it was the hardest decision I've made this far in my career. Coming off of 2019, we had just won our first ever franchise championship. I'm the point guard of our team, which is also the leader. I'm also the vocal leader on our team. So it was a really tough decision of, am I letting my teammates down? Am I letting my organization down? But then sitting back on it, praying about it, utilizing my family and my foundation to help me make that decision, I just understood that moment in time was greater than any other moment. There was such support behind Black Lives Matters movement. And I felt that if I didn't, take that opportunity right there and then I'd be doing, again, another disservice to a lot of people that look like me. And it's no secret, George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, they completely rocked our country and honestly the world. And so for Black and Brown Americans, that's our reality every single day. We can be George, we can be Breonna, we can be in our homes and still not be safe. But I think for white America, it woke a lot of people up to, this is what they're talking about. And so I just wanted to make sure that I was capitalizing on that moment of so much support behind the movement, and understanding that this is bigger than basketball. This is real life. This is happening. George Floyd was murdered, and a few days later, we're talking about going into the bubble. And I'm a team representative, so I have to be on these conversations. And I'm sitting on the laptop like, I can't even get myself to think about basketball. I really can't even get myself to get out of bed most days right now. And so understanding that this was just bigger than basketball, understanding that I have a platform that I can use to create change and ignite change, and also understanding the power of the election that was coming up, and understanding that I needed to get on the ground and to be impactful means to be present. That's something that I've always said, and I wanted to be on the front lines. I wanted to be in the rooms that are making decisions, and I didn't feel like I could be a champion on the court and a champion in my community, because my heart was really with my community at that time. And so into the conversations with the Mystics, I was very nervous. Obviously, that's a really big deal to go to an organization, and you worry about, is this going to ruin my career? I'm one of 144. It's really hard to get in our league, but it's even harder to stay in our league. So is this decision alone going to ruin my career? And I think that I was just 100% in with my decision to sit out, and whatever came with it, I was going to take, the responsibilities, and I was going to take the repercussions of that decision. But I was met with nothing but support from both Converse, which I just had signed with a few months prior, and the Mystics organization. And when you have that support as an athlete, without fearing repercussions, without fearing, whatever may come with it, when you can just genuinely be yourself and give your 100% into your community, knowing that your organization supports you, makes the world of a difference. It makes my job a lot easier.
And I think to see the support that the NBA offered in some ways also to you, and that was sparked by words that you said
Absolutely.
in that call. And I think that speaks volumes as well to kind of the impact that using your voice can have of things that just maybe people don't see.
Yes.
They don't see.
And I think that, I think that was the biggest thing, is that, we've been separated for far too long, and not just the NBA and the WNBA, but all sports world. We've been separated. And I think that we have seen over the last year what it means when we combine our platforms, and how powerful it truly is when we do combine our platforms. And so it was as simple as getting on a call with some NBA guys like Kyrie and Chris Paul and LeBron and all of them, just to simply say, like, hey, this is what's going on our side. I don't know if we're aware of it, but this is what's happening. We need your support. We need you to be vocal. We need you to put it out there that your support. We need you to bring our seats to the table, because it's that time. It's that time, and we're only going to be more powerful combining our platforms than being separate. And so it was a beautiful thing to just come together and creating, lifelong friendships, lifelong activisms, partnerships. And you truly saw, I truly believe that sports changed the trajectory of our country, and it saved our democracy.
And I think you had mentioned it earlier, but I think so many athletes not finally, maybe isn't the right word, but I think felt empowered to use their voice, and noticed how many people look up to you guys. I think that's, I think it's easy to go day to day and, do your job and
Yes.
and whatnot. But I like to know how many people look at you guys as change makers and as trailblazers and doing what you're doing. So I think you've really done incredible things. And I know that there's another big thing coming in 2022 with the Athletes Unlimited, which you're a big voice for. So I mean, okay. And I know that your wife plays Athletes Unlimited as well.
Yes.
So break this down for us. What is Athletes Unlimited? It's coming for women's basketball. This is exciting. What are we going to get to see?
It's so amazing. Athletes Unlimited, hands down, is just an amazing league run by two amazing people, and obviously other people contribute to it. But yes, my wife played. My wife actually won the whole league this past year, so she put a lot of pressure on me to also win Athletes
Another
Unlimited.
opportunity to keep you grounded.
Right, another opportunity, because I have to have bragging rights in my home.
That's the most important thing.
Right? I'm like, hold on, I can't lose now. Okay. But it's a really dope league. They started with softball, went into volleyball, then lacrosse, and now they're bringing basketball. It's a player-driven league. There's no owners, no GMs. Everything is orchestrated. Every decision is made by the athletes. It's going to be played very much like the NBA All-Star Game. So we'll be ranked. There's about 48 players, so we'll be ranked from 1 to 48. The top 4 are captains each week. Each week, captains pick and draft their new team, and it's like a really cool draft. They sit you down, you have laptops, iPads, and you go through picking your roster. So you have new teams each week. You'll play the game. You get points for things like assists, scoring, rebounding. You get deducted points for fouls, turnovers, technicals, all those things. So it's a really dope, just point-based system. And at the end of it, you obviously want to be the top of the leaderboard. Just a really cool way of spicing up basketball, but it's amazing because we get to keep basketball here in the off season. And it's no secret for people that don't know. The WNBA season is about 4 or 5 months. We go until about September, October. And then those women of the W, we go overseas for 6, 7 months, and we're out of market. And we have to play year round. It's tough on our bodies. A lot of injuries come about from it. We have to spend 6, 7 months away from our families and our loved ones just to provide and make a living. And so this is the alternative to keep things here in the States. And so I'm really excited because it's only 6 weeks of play. So we get everything from housing to meals to quality care of our bodies. Obviously, really good, just exciting play, really good competition. And then we get to finish and go into our W season. So I think it's going to be the next huge thing for basketball. And I'm just truly blessed to be a part of, the starting group of it. But it's no secret. I give the props to my wife because that's the only reason I really got into it.
I love that. And I think it is with the 2023 changes also to kind of the W's relationship with playing overseas as well and
Yes.
camps and whatnot. I think this could not.
It's our CBA. We fit perfectly. So I'm excited for the potential partnerships of both of the leagues.
That's awesome. And so I have to ask you, if you're drafting a team week 1, who are you picking? Who are you taking?
Oh, that's a tough one. I was trying to get my teammate Elena Deladon, if you guys know her. I was trying to get her to play in it, but that's always my first choice of everything, Elena Deladon. But no, in Athletes Unlimited, I think Courtney Williams. I'm a huge Courtney Williams fan. Plays for the Atlanta Dream. She's one of my toughest matchups as our main defender for the Mystics, and she's a bucket. So I want to win. Your goal is to win each quarter, win the games, so you can rack up your points as a team. So I'm definitely going with Courtney Williams.
And I love that you get to play with people that just months from then you're going to play against. I feel like that almost like ignites a fire for Absolutely. I'm excited to see what the W season is going to look like now that you guys have all played together.
Absolutely. It's going to be twice as heated.
I love that. So, all of this, we were really just scratching the surface on what you've done. And like I mentioned earlier, play is such a small part of what you've done. But what's next? What's next for Tasha Cloud? What's on the bucket list?
I know I'm excited because I'm a very firm believer in be where your feet are and make sure that you're just embracing the moments. Because I think far too often we have goals and we forget that when we obtain them to enjoy them. And so I'm kind of just in that realm of enjoying where I am, but also trying to figure out what is after basketball, because eventually the ball stops. And so with my new passion and kind of diving into social activism, I think that's going to be the route that I take after basketball, just to make sure that I'm still, doing what I can for my community, helping to progress us forward. And obviously I'll stay around the game. I love this game. It's blessed me in an abundance of ways. And I want to be able to give young boys and girls those same opportunities and resources that I had, to just have a better life and to provide for my family. So definitely into activism, but you're always going to see me around basketball somehow.
And, you mentioned the younger, young boys and young girls. And I think we're moving in a direction to get more gender equity in sport where girls are given the same opportunities and, but there's still a long ways to go in that. When you look at the future of women and girls in sports, what is your hope?
Yeah, my hope is that we don't have to talk about gender equity when it comes to anything. But especially in the sports world, I don't want the next generation to have to fight the same fights we're fighting today for equal pay, equal viewership, equal sponsorship opportunities, all those things that truly, truly matter. And that comes easy to the men's side of things. I want it to come just as easy to the women's side of things. We shouldn't have to beg different companies and sponsorships and endorsers to bet on women. We've proven ourselves over and over again, and especially when it pertains to the WNBA. I might be a little bit biased, but I don't, because we've always been at the forefront of every social issue. And talking about athletes saving democracy, I think the W really saved democracy last season, especially in making sure that everything went smoothly there at the end. So my goal is that we don't have to have these same conversations about making things equal and presenting the same opportunities and resources that the men get to the women's side of things.
Mm-hmm. When we set out to do this, we said we want there to no longer be a headline. We want there to no longer be the first X, the first woman to do X, and or that like I just you're playing at the same level. The women are playing at the same level. Sometimes better than the Cavs.
I heard you.
Like, I hate to say it, but
no, I agree 100%.
You know, and so
2021 going into 2022, I am tired of seeing the first. While it's amazing and we'll celebrate our queens out here, we need to start getting away from the first.
Absolutely. My last question, I ask everyone this. What is your mantra in life, on the court, in practice, when things get hard? Is there something that you say to yourself that just keeps you going forward?
Absolutely. Know your why. I literally have it tattooed on the back of my arm here. My best friend, it actually, I'm taking credit, but my best friend gave it to me kind of when things were getting chaotic in our college career at St. Joe's. And so it's kept me grounded. It's kept me focused. And again, when you know why you're doing what you're doing and who you're doing it for, nothing can knock you off your track for greatness.
I love that. I love that. Well, I so appreciate you taking the time to chat.
Thank you so much. I think this is amazing. I commend y'all for doing this and making sure that you're shining light on women in sports and women that are just doing amazing things. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And we are, I cannot wait to watch the Athletes Unlimited this year. And
yes.
I'm rooting for you because I want you to have bragging rights at home. So don't tell your wife, but
thank you.
Because I know how that goes.
Said, oh, I hear you.
You didn't pretend you didn't hear that.
And you didn't hear it.